Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to take a very brief look at the game Small World. This game is for 2 to 5 players, ages 8 and up, and the average play time is between 40 and 80 minutes. In Small World, each player is going to be responsible for the rise and fall of several civilizations, and the person that can manage these civilizations the best will earn the most victory points and win the game. Let's just take a quick moment to look at the components and see how the game is played. Now before we actually get into the gameplay, I just want to quickly go over what came in the box. Up here you've got a ton of these army tokens, and they represent the different civilizations that are in the game. You've got a number of different ones, but just to provide you with a quick sample, you've got Amazon archers over there on the left. You've got these skeletons here, these sorcerers, and these orcs, and they all have different abilities. And these 4 aren't the only 4 in the game, obviously. There are more to choose from up there. You've got like elves, dwarves, different things like that. Now each civilization in the game has their own respective banner. That's how players keep track of what civilizations they currently have in their possession. As you can see, these race types match the army tokens that I was showing you earlier. Like here are your sorcerers here. Now if I go down further, human, elves, ghouls, wizards, halflings. I'm sure, yeah, dwarves are in here. Orcs, there we go. So as you can see, there's a race banner for each of the type of army tokens in the game. Right next to these race banners are these special badges, or power-ups as I like to call them. Basically, they provide these different races with special abilities. And they're randomized at the beginning of the game, so you don't know what kind of power-up will go with what race. And as you can see, they're designed to fit each other. But I'll show you that more in a minute. The type of special power-up badges that you'll see in this game, you'll see like wealthy, seafaring, forest, and that may not mean anything to you right now, but it will mean something during the game when you're actually trying to complete particular objectives. Right above that, you've got these victory tokens here, and there's nothing fancy going on here. It's just 4 different denominations. You've got 1, 3, 5, and 10. Players will be trying to earn victory points in order to win the game. Finally, over here on the right, you've got a few different things. I'm not going to go into all of them just because each of these tokens are special in their own unique way. But you've got things like mountains that will serve to sort of hamper the ability for players to conquer particular lands. You've got some special race buildings here that are unique to a particular race, like these troll caves, for example. They are unique to the troll race. And you've also got this reinforcement die here. This is used during combat when you're attempting to conquer lands. And you've got some other tokens in here, the most important of which is this sort of turn counter. This will keep track of how many turns have progressed in the game, and this will go on the board, which I'll show you in a minute. In terms of a playing surface, you've got actually a total of 4 different boards here. There are 2 double-sided. Basically, the one that you choose will be based on how many people are actually playing the game. In the upper right-hand corner of these boards is a small number, and you've got the number 2, so you'll be using this in a 2-player game. However, if you flip this over, you'll see that this is a number 3, meaning that this board would be used for a 3-player game. And likewise, this larger board, you've got a number 5 up there for a 5-player game, and on the reverse side of this is the board for the 4-player game. And each board has the same things on it. You've got different lands, you've got grasslands, you've got marshes, different things like that, mountains, and every board has a turn marker counter on it. That is where that crown I was showing you earlier comes into play. As players take turns and complete full revolutions, this marker will move its way up the track, and once it reaches the end up here, that'll signal the game's end, and whoever has the most victory points will win. Alright, now this is just a very quick example of a 3-player setup. Over here on the left, you've got a column, you've got 5 race banners and 5 respective power-ups. Those are just drawn randomly and placed here. Then you've got the entire stack of race banners and race bonuses over here. As far as the board is concerned, what you're going to do is you're going to find these lost tribe tokens that are in the box and place them on any space that has a little bullseye icon on it. These are basically just remnants of lost civilizations. They provide basically like an extra obstacle for players to have to destroy in order to conquer that particular land. Same thing with mountains. You want to place these mountain tokens on the mountain spaces. Again, these serve as obstacles. Players will have to spend more army tokens to conquer that particular land, just like these lost tribes. You've also got the turn marker. You want to place that on the 1, which is over here, and each player finally will receive 5 victory point tokens to start. Now, the first turn plays out a little differently than the other turns, but they're not too dissimilar. What will happen first is that the first player will go ahead and pick one of these races. They'll have to purchase a race depending on where it falls on this column. The very top race is free, but if you want a race that is further down, you actually have to put your own victory point markers onto these races, and that sort of makes these races a little bit more attractive down the line if victory point tokens accumulate on it. So let's say, for example, that player 1 wanted to buy this humans race here. What they're going to do is they're going to put one of these victory point tokens on the skeletons, and that will allow them to pick this one up. Now, on any future turn, should the player go ahead and claim the skeletons race listed here, they would actually get to collect the victory points on top of that race. Now, once a player has the race, what they'll do is they'll go ahead and move these remaining ones up, assuming the tablecloth will agree with me. And a new race will be drawn from the stack and placed on the bottom, along with a bonus. Now, we'll have to take a look at these just to see what kind of bonuses and what kind of troops to deploy. You've got humans and hill, so hill humans. And the number of army tokens that you'll be placing initially is this orange number here. You've got 4 over here and 5 over here. So this particular player will start out with 9 humans. And in most cases, what you start out with is all you'll have. And then after that army starts to die down, you'll place this civilization into decline, which I'll show you later, and you'll be able to pick a new race and start all over again. There are exceptions to that rule, though, in that some races, like the skeletons, actually gain army tokens depending on the circumstances. So, like I said, each race has their own unique abilities, so definitely check out the different races and bonuses before you actually pick one. Alright, now for the very first turn that you're using that new race that you've got, you can go ahead and pick a spot on the edge of the board just to bring them in. And the exception to that, of course, is water. You can't conquer water, but any other region is fair game. So as long as it borders the edge of the board or borders a sea, in which case the sea is bordering the edge of the board. It'll make sense when you play it, trust me. So what's going to happen is I'm going to go ahead and choose this starting region as my entry point. And in general, it takes 2 troops to conquer land. However, the more obstacles that are on that land, the more troops you'll need to conquer it. And I'll show you that in a minute. So right now I've conquered that land with my 2 troops. Again, I had 9 to start with. So now I'm going to move down to this one. Now, what's going to happen here is I'm going to need 2 for the land and 1 extra one for this particular lost tribe. So I'm going to go ahead and put 3 here and remove this lost tribe token from the board. Now, whenever you're conquering, it's important to note that you have to conquer a land that is adjacent to one that already under your control. Of course, there are some bonuses like the flying bonus that allows you to conquer lands on the map regardless of where your other troop locations are. And that's basically it. You're going to keep picking lands to conquer. This one is adjacent. This one requires 2. And let's see, I've got 2 left. This one is adjacent here, and that only requires 2. There's no obstacles, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that's basically it. Once you've placed all of your tokens onto the board, then you'll go ahead and score what you currently have based on how many lands you've conquered and how many bonuses you've earned based on your racial abilities and on your bonus abilities. Alright, now in this particular case, we're going to go ahead and score these humans that I just placed onto the map. Now what's going to happen is you're going to earn 1 victory point for each region that you've managed to conquer. In this case, 4 regions were conquered. So player 1 would earn himself 4 victory points. On top of that, you'll want to take a look at both the racial special and the bonus ability here. Humans earn 1 victory point for every farmland that they conquer. So that's an extra victory point for the humans there. And the hill bonus awards the player with 1 victory point for every hill that they conquer. So actually on this turn, they've conquered 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 extra for the farmland and 1 extra for the hill. So player 1 would receive a total of 6 victory points for their first turn. Alright, now I've jumped ahead just a little bit. What I did was I seeded the board with the other 2 players and their respective races. Player 2 has these Amazons over here on the right, and player 3 has these skeletons which came into the board from the bottom. Now player 1's turn comes around again, and as such the marker is moved up to the 2. And now player 1, now that it's no longer the first turn, redeployment is actually an option now. What will happen is the player will go ahead and pick up all of the tokens on their spaces, leaving 1 left or remaining on the spaces they occupy. So now they have all these army tokens to use to expand further. Now what they're going to do is they're going to go ahead and try and conquer this particular land. And what they're going to need is, there are 3 skeletons on this location. So what they're going to need to do is 2 for the land, and they're going to need one additional for each of these skeletons. So we're going to put 5 on this location. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that actually exhausts the entire supply of tokens. Now what will happen in this case, now that the skeletons have been defeated, the skeletons will lose 1 token permanently that will be placed out of the game. And the other tokens will be just removed from the board temporarily. And at the end of the current player's turn, the owner of these tokens can go ahead and cede them to whatever spaces they may have remaining on the board. Now after that occurs, player 1 is out of tokens so that they can go ahead and score again. Again, they'll get 1 point for each region that they conquer, 1, 2, or each land that they have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, their bonus allows them 1 extra point for any farmland that they have and any hilltops that they have. So 5 plus 2 is 7 in this case. Now, instead of redeploying their troops and conquering lands, they have the option of entering into decline, which basically means they're going to be giving up their turn to flip all of their tokens. Each token and each race banner and bonus has a reverse side to it. What they're going to do, let's just say for the sake of argument that the skeletons no longer think that, or the player thinks that their skeletons are no longer going to be profitable. Granted, this wouldn't happen on the second turn of the game, but this is just a quick example. Now you're going to remove all of the tokens except for 1 on those spaces. You're going to flip them over and do the same thing with the banner. Now, as such, the special bonuses and abilities are no longer present whenever a race is in decline. However, they will still earn victory points depending on how many regions that they currently occupy, and will continue to earn victory points until someone else conquers them and removes those tokens from the game. In this case, that player would actually end their turn just like this and would earn 3 victory points for the 3 lands they have, 1, 2, and 3. And at the start of their next turn, they'll be able to pick a new race, either by taking the free one on top or buying one further down, and then receive a stack of the army tokens, and then bring them in from the outside portions of the board and, start conquering again. And that's basically what you're going to be doing in this game. You're going to be making use of the army you currently have in order to get as far as you can and conquer as much as you can with the bonuses in mind. And when you feel that that race is no longer profitable, you'll put them into decline, pick a new race, and continue the process. And the person that manages to, observe their bonuses the best and conquer the most land will earn themselves the most victory points and end up winning the game. And there you have it. That's just a very quick look at the game's Small World. I didn't get to cover half of the things that were in the game. The reinforcement die, the different racial bonuses, and different things like that. But this should give you a general overview of the game and what you're in for should you buy it. I like this game. I like the fact that the races are and the bonuses are randomized and fit together. You could end up with, say, hill skeletons or dragon master skeletons, flying skeletons, and that actually does change the way that you play from game to game. So there's a lot of replayability here. You can check out my full review at www.dadsgamingaddiction.com, or you can simply click on the link in the below description. That'll take you there as well. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.